Hi, Mochismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. I want to talk to you guys about retreat. When we retreat is not to be taken as defeat. And I'm going to talk about this in response to a video, not a video, but a comment I got from a person. I don't know, I think it's a gentleman. No, it's not. It's a female, I think. Based on your picture here, I want to assume. The name is AMZEE 807, and her or their response to my video where I said, "Chosen ones, your awareness can never be too strong." And I was talking about the gym and going to the gym, whereas you're looked upon because your energy is your energy is undeniable, and people notice it, and they're petrified of you, whether you know it or not, especially if they are dark. And so they say what you said about even going to the gym, if you feel off, is very true. After I awaken, I begin to feel as if the gym I go to is a negative place with people directing a lot of negative energy towards me. I thought I shouldn't let them scare me, but something, God, was telling me to stop going and cancel my membership. I tried going less, and the feeling persisted, so I stopped completely. And they quoted scripture where it says, "A prudent man sees danger and hides himself." So this video will be dedicated to you. So retreat is not to be taken as defeat, chosen ones. Let's take the story of King David. If you want to talk about retreat, retreat is a wise thing to do in certain instances. As you know, when we awaken, that is pretty much what we did. We went on a retreat. We know that we were not supposed to speak about this issue. We were not to confront the narcissist. We were supposed to bounce silently. And even though you guys know my story, I alerted and informed her brother. It was pretty much still done in silence. I didn't speak a word to her from the very day I discovered what type of entity was living in my house that I got myself attached to it. So from that day forth, I went no contact. Gray rock. I used all these things that I had gotten informed and educated about, and I wrapped my brain around it. And that's the most important thing. When you get this information, you must wrap your brain around it, even if it doesn't really feel good at the moment, because it won't. This will be hard to digest. It will be scary. It will be unnerving. It will rattle you. But it will be a godsend. So you got to embrace it, hug it, kiss it, give it the love it deserves and the attention it deserves, and it will definitely help you through it. And so to retreat is not a defeat. It is just a wise thing to do in certain instances. We don't have anything to prove. We are courageous. We don't need to prove it. The reason why we know we are courageous, because why else did the narcissist want to hitch a ride on our coattail? Why did they want to hang out with us if we were all the things they ended up telling us we weren't? And all the labels they ended up giving us were theirs. They're in fear. They're petrified. They're unstable. In the story of King David, for you all who don't know, and for you all that do know, it's just a gentle reminder. You know King David. It is written in the Bible. It will never be erased. It said King David slew 1,000. Well, it says King Saul. It would say something similar to this, paraphrasing. King Saul slew 1,000 to King David's 10,000. King Saul slew 10,000 to King David's 100,000. And so this was all through the nation and the country that people were chanting this and endorsing this about King David. He was a valiant warrior, had nerves of steel. And when King Saul heard this, he wasn't getting the clout that he thought he so richly deserved. King Saul, by the way, was the epitome of a narcissist. Somewhere along the way, the narcissistic disorder popped his ugly head out in King Saul to the point where he became vexed. You know the story, you all who know the story. He would summon King David to come play him music to soothe the spirits that were chasing him. But nothing David could do to soothe King Saul. Matter of fact, when he would come and play this music, King Saul became angry and attempted to kill King David while he was playing the instrument. And he would continue this on and on and on, almost having like an out-of-body experience. Hot and cold, narcissist. One minute they love you, next minute they hate you. So King David got to a point where he had to retreat. He had to hit the hills. He went and he consulted with Jonathan, which was King Saul's son, which they had formed a blood pact. They had become almost like biological brothers, essentially saying, I will never betray you. We are brothers through thick and thin to the end. They took a very strong liking to one another, and it was real and it was genuine. You empaths and chosen ones, we have that bond here. You will rarely notice empaths and chosen ones at odds with each other here, awakened. We may not always see things exactly the way one another sees it, but we don't get into debates. We don't try to joust with the intelligence of who knows what and how much they know about narcissists, this, that, and the other. I misspeak a lot. You think I'm trying to ace the study of the narcissist? I got more better things to do. I have a life to live. But you darn well better believe I am educating myself to understand the dynamics of how these people move. I'm not studying to try to be an intellectual. If that comes with the territory, I'll accept it. But if it's not in the cards for me, I'll do exactly what I'm doing here. So back to point. King David had to retreat. So much so, he went and he reached out to Jonathan. And he told Jonathan, essentially, your dad's trying to kill me. For some odd reason, I don't know. I've never done anything to this man. I've served him. I've been subservient to him. Anything he asked me, he's been above me. I've been below him. I've taken his orders, this and that. And he said, I have no choice but to retreat. My life is not safe here. And so Jonathan found it hard to believe. And when you tell people about the narcissist and lost their damn mind, the person that you are involved with have lost their mind and you've seen a demon, expect people not to believe you at first glance. So you figure, what reason would Jonathan doubt David? Well, sometimes when family members, we don't see what others see. You can understand that. And so he told David, or David told Jonathan, your father's trying to kill me. I must retreat. And so Jonathan said, I find this so hard to believe. He said, well, okay, David. King David said, well, okay, Jonathan, there is a feast and there's a reunion of sorts that my father's having in a few days here. He said, I will be absent at that feast. He said, Jonathan, tell your father when he asks, where am I? Why am I not here? You tell him I had something a family matter I have to attend to. I'm paraphrasing. Go read it, guys. It's a beautiful story, uh, but it's not. If you understand that. So he said, if your father is well with that, if he's okay, and he accepts what you tell him about where I've gone, because this is a family emergency, he said, then all is well with your father. He is not trying to kill me. He said, but if he get bent out of shape and he start acting like a fool, he said, then you will know. This will be the test. And so, a few days later, the dinner or the feast commenced, and they were sitting there. And as David said, Saul asked and inquired, where is David? And Jonathan told him what David had told him to say. And so, right way, King Saul said, we won't eat until David is here. Go summon him. And right way, he knew, he understood. And Jonathan went out, and I believe he told King David, if I shoot the arrow and the arrow falls at your feet, then it is safe to come back. He said, but if I shoot the arrow and it goes beyond you, over your head, he says, head for the hills. And he shot the arrow, and the arrow went beyond David, and he knew that was the green light. Keep going, keep it moving. And so David continued to go on the run, or retreat, if you will, for his safety. And so, mind you now, King David killed Goliath now. King David used to go out when he was just a little boy and tend the sheep, and he would slew bears with a jawbone or of some kind of animal. He used it almost like a butcher's knife. And so King Saul relentlessly chased this man for no justifiable cause, only because he had heard this good stuff about King David, and people were chanting him in delight, holding him in high esteem. The envious and the jealousness of a narcissist. They don't want to hear nothing good about you. They want to unalive you so they can reign in your position. You know Scar in The Lion King. He wanted to see that little kid that was next in charge to be king. He wanted to see him die. And so I actually remember the story, whereas they pursued David relentless, and King Saul had his soldiers chasing this man day and night to the point where they didn't get much sleep, and they fell asleep. They was exhausted. And David was able to come upon King Saul while he was yet sleeping, passed out. And he took his sword off of his person, and he left him. He left him alive. And the very next day, when King Saul resumed chasing King David stood on a high place and said, you relentlessly chased me for no good reason. I've done nothing to you. Blah, blah, blah. He said, I would like you to call a truce. And so Saul commenced the troops to say, hey, get him. And David said, I had an opportunity. I could have taken your life. It was in my hands, but I didn't. He said, to prove that I have your sword. Do you know what the sword is symbolic of? The Bible. The Bible is called the sword. It says sharper than any two-edged sword. So this subscriber, I believe they're a subscriber. If you're not, please do subscribe. I'd appreciate it. In their comment, I was touched by it, so I wanted to come on and talk about this as it relates to us retreating. It's not defeat. The Bible says, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he will exalt you in due time. Because we pass on certain things and we retreat to our refuge, It's our safe place. Doesn't mean we're cowards. It's on the contrary. It means that we're wise. We're choosing the wise thing. We don't like to see bloodshed. But as King David, we are valiant soldiers. We will not allow our life to be taken just because you think you can. You didn't give us life and you won't take it. And so they said they decided, or they were contemplating canceling their memberships. And I am so touched by the comment because I have a membership there with me and my children until May. I haven't gone in probably 4 or 6 months. And then when I broke my foot 3 months ago, I really didn't have no concerns to go. I'm just trying to get back to me. And I experienced similar things. The energy around that place is so dark and demonic. And so I am contemplating canceling my membership. Either that, I'll just let it run out. But either way, that touched me to the point where I know that listening to me, they felt like it was confirmation for them because they had been thinking the same thing. And now back to their comment, it is confirmation for me that if I was even contemplating going back, thank you. I have enough stuff here to work out with. Many years ago when I was incarcerated, I would use a bar that was between fences and just pull up on that, do dips on that. You can use a common chair to do all the cardiovascular or the cardio you want. You can use your own body weight to do all the range of motions that you can imagine. And I know a lot of you need that boost, that push. I'm not saying pull the plug on your membership. We're just expressly talking about when and where there is danger, demonic, dark activity, and it's overwhelming to you as an empath and a chosen one, you must make a decision. You must make a sound decision. Don't hang out and hold out because you're this empath, you're this chosen one. You don't have anything to prove. If it becomes depleting, you must disengage. Don't give them the memo. Don't give them a heads up. You retreat. And that's all I wanted to say about that, guys. So go and listen to that story. Listen to it. You can do that on your electronic device now. You don't have to really sit there and read. You can have the Bible read to you. And so do yourself a favor and read that story or listen to that story. It is a very beautiful story. And go one further, read the story of Joseph from where he began to how God was giving him visions and dreams, and how his narcissistic brothers envied him so much they wanted to unalive him, and even lied to his father and told him that he was unalived by wild animals, and just pretty much lied to their father, and the man was in heavy grief over this. So narcissists will do dark stuff like that. They will tell people who you care a lot about very dark things. It will just break their hearts. It will crush them. But they don't care about that. So pick your fights. Pick your fights in life. There are certain things worth fighting for. There are other things that are worthless. They're not even worth the time and the energy we put into them, because God fights those battles for us. That being said, bless.